it's really exciting when you think about some of the tasks we all perform as humans ourselves, that some of that might be taken away and done in a much more seamless fashion, leaves us all the opportunity to do the things that energize us more.
Have you seen a shift in attitude towards IT asset management? It's such a complex picture these days, with the move to hybrid cloud and these consumption-based models. Are you seeing a shift in how organizations manage their assets? Because, in the past, a lot of organizations haven't really had much governance in place for that type of thing. Are you seeing that change, Nicola?
Yeah, definitely. And I would say if you think about those trends we just talked about, the other trend is for customers, certainly the larger customers, to want fewer rather than more suppliers.
Yeah.
So trying to manage the complexity of tens of suppliers in your supply base is difficult, especially when you're trying to keep the lights on and drive change at the same time from an IT perspective. So that sort of trend to fewer means opportunities to consolidate, means you can think about more simplified solutions, and means that you can have suppliers or partners who are really focused on your outcomes and help you drive those. So the other shift, there is still an ongoing shift to cloud, and as that continues, that sort of is over time dealing with some of the legacy issues that maybe haven't been dealt with in the past. I mentioned earlier the shift towards more operational resilience in financial services. So there are a lot of external factors which are driving customers to think differently and to make sure, they've got a handful of strategic partners that they can work with, that they are robust and resilient, that they've passed on those requirements for cyber integrity and operational resilience all the way through the supply chain. So you start to see a little bit more maybe of pockets of operations outsourcing that can sort of take some of that workload off customers. In many customers, and we'll talk hybrid cloud in a second, but in many customers, you have a situation where the board is pushing pretty hard. What are we doing on AI? What about AI agents? What's the plan? How do we take costs out of the business? How do we drive new revenue? And at the same time, as I say, below the hood, you've got quite a complex situation for the CIO to be dealing with. And so, helping them to sort of straddle that and get the innovation going at the same time, making sure they stay safe and the business can operate well is important. Every customer we speak to has a hybrid cloud estate, either by design or just evolved that way.
Evolution,
And obviously it's easier to operate if it's done by design, but the ability to operate across all of those clouds that I mentioned. You might have your ERP in the vendor's cloud. You might have stuff in your own data center. You'll definitely have public clouds. Being able to operate across that, being able to access the data. You want good AI, you need good data. Ideally don't want to...
There's no AI without data.
No, completely. And so you ideally don't want to be having to take all of that data and repurpose it and put it someplace else. You want to be able to access it where it is and make it available to your teams so that they can make the best of it. So that ability to operate in that hybrid cloud environment is really important. The ability to manage security in a hybrid cloud environment is really important. And then how you run your IT operations when you've got that complexity is important. So IBM's been, we bought Red Hat a few years ago, been working a lot with Red Hat and with some of the new acquisitions to make sure that we can help customers build across that hybrid environment to operate in a seamless way, keep themselves secure, and then manage their automation and IT operations across that environment as well.
Nobody ever got fired for buying IBM, Nicola, did they? So the famous strapline from the 80s. But I just wanted to ask you about AI then, because IBM have long championed AI.
Mm-hmm.
Way before the commercial large language models that we've seen in the last couple of years. What are you most excited about, and what are you most fearful of in terms of the enterprise agentic AI adoption?
Well, let's start with a few stats, because we did a CEO study earlier this year, and the stats are pretty impressive because it indicates that CEOs and organizations are going all in on agentic AI, and that's a real shift. And so when we polled them, 65% of CEOs said that they were scaling AI agents across their enterprise. 64% said that the productivity increase justifies the risk. And nearly 60% of them are accelerating Gen AI adoption beyond what they would say is their comfort zone. So the stats are pretty impressive. So we are way beyond hype into things being real in the enterprise. We're very excited about that, because the more you move to AI agents, the more you can automate your workflows and take some of that sort of hard work off of the individual, hard and repetitive work, and have the agents do that. And moving towards a world where you've got orchestrated networks of agents doing some of those repetitive tasks. So it's really exciting when you think about some of the tasks we all perform as humans ourselves, that some of that might be taken away and done in a much more seamless fashion, leaves us all the opportunity to do the things that energize us more. And think of things like creativity,
like setting up podcasts,
doing podcasts, engaging with people, building relationships, exercising empathy, all of those things, and using our judgment that we build up throughout our careers. So I think that's exciting as it relates to productivity. I've seen some great examples in IBM, and I'll come back to that in a second. But also, we did some work with one of the hospital trusts in Coventry and Warwickshire, and they did some brilliant work, a very short timescale project with process mining and AI. They've been able to scan in 18 hours the amount of letters it would have taken them 4 years to scan. And in part that has impacted the productivity of their outpatients. So they got a 6% productivity improvement. When I hear that, it doesn't sound that much, but in reality, that's 700 extra doctor hours a week, which is incredible.
That's
incredible,
lives,
right? So
probably.
if you imagine if you can scale that across 200 plus trusts in the healthcare system, the gains are big. Similar, the same trust has been able to free up headcount from digitizing and using AI across its HR to move headcount into nursing roles. So you start to see, I think, a really exciting shift from back office to front office, where obviously you can better meet the needs of your customers or your patients, depending on what kind of business you are. So that excites me. It excites me a lot. It's moving pretty fast, and I think it's got gains for all of us. The other thing that excites me is the level of energy and engagement of people, and at all stages in the career journey, people are captured and captivated by the potential for AI. And so everyone my parents are engaging with AI on the web, and my kids are early 20s. They're pretty expert at what they're doing. It's like, what are they not using it for rather than what they are using it for. So I think, it's captured the imagination, and I think that's always a good thing as you think about driving change.
My daughters are 6 and 10, and they use the image generation especially, but they use ChatGPT. Their prompting skills are probably better than most people, because they're just digital natives, aren't they?
And I think it just creates new possibilities, doesn't it? For people. So, you can think of businesses that can spin up much faster, So all of that's really good. I think, the sort of flip side, if you think about, which is something we talked about earlier when you're thinking about managing transformation and change, that you have to
Yeah.
help people through that curve. And so any change can feel uncomfortable for people. So, what we talk to a lot of clients about is making sure they've got the tools in the hands of people so that they can experiment and see what it means in their own role. Making sure when you're doing projects that you've got the people who are doing the work day to day engaged in that and seeing how to make improvements. And so that in doing that, you're helping people through that change journey as well. But there's a lot of demand in organisations to have tools at people's fingertips. So, like any other change, that's just something you have to manage your way through and make sure your people come along with it.